He sat on the cold pavement outside a military base, wrapped in a torn jacket that once bore medals of honor. To everyone passing by, he was just another homeless black man, forgotten, invisible, and unwanted. But when a decorated white general stopped to glance his way, something unexpected happened. The general's eyes narrowed, studying the man's face. There was something hauntingly familiar about him, something that tugged at a memory buried deep beneath years of service and pride. Then came a sound, a quiet, trembling voice calling out a name. No, not a name, a call sign. Only a brother-in-arms would know. In that instant, time seemed to stop. The general's chest tightened. Could it be him? The man he thought had died saving his life? What happened next would shake the base, shatter reputations, and expose how easily a hero can become invisible when the color of his skin changes how the world sees him. Where are you watching this story from? Before the uniform faded, before the medals were pawned for scraps, Marcus Hayes was a soldier who lived by duty and loyalty. He'd served with pride, earning respect on the battlefield, but back home, life didn't salute him the same way. When the war ended, so did the calls, the job offers, and the recognition. The world moved on, and left him behind. Each morning, Marcus woke beneath the same overpass, folding his blanket with the precision of a man who once made his bed in a barracks. He'd spend the day collecting cans, doing odd jobs near the city bus station, always keeping his head down. Some recognized the military tattoos on his arms, most didn't care. To them, he was just another homeless man with no story worth hearing. But there was still a spark in him, a discipline that refused to die. He'd hum old military chants under his breath, keeping rhythm with his steps as he walked past the base gates. He never begged, never asked for help. Just watched the soldiers come and go, his eyes holding both pride and pain. And then one morning, the unexpected happened. A convoy stopped near the gate. Among the polished uniforms and salutes stood General Robert Keene, a man whose face Marcus would never forget. What Marcus didn't know was that this single encounter would reopen old wounds, unearth buried truths, and test the meaning of brotherhood and race in ways neither man was ready for. Marcus stood near the base gate that morning, watching the soldiers line up as the sun caught the shine on their medals. The smell of fresh coffee drifted from the nearby cafe, one he used to visit after early drills years ago. He tightened his grip on the worn duffel bag slung over his shoulder, filled not with weapons or gear now, but scraps of paper and broken memories. When the black SUV convoy rolled to a stop, Marcus stepped back, giving way to the officers who poured out. Cameras flashed. A white general, tall and polished, returned salutes like a man born to command. General Robert Keene. The name alone brought back the roar of choppers, the sting of desert wind, and the echo of a radio call that had once saved Keene's life. Marcus whispered that call sign now, almost to himself. A soldier standing nearby sneered. "Move along, man. This isn't a shelter." Marcus froze. His chest tightened as a few others joined in the laughter. They didn't see a veteran. They saw a vagrant, someone out of place. General Keene turned his head at the noise. His eyes landed on Marcus. For a second, recognition flickered, then disappeared. "Handle it," he told the guard, brushing past. Marcus wanted to speak, to remind him. But the guard stepped forward, their tone turning sharp. "You can't loiter here. Move." He tried to explain, his voice steady, respectful, and trained. "Sir, I served here once. 2nd Battalion. Call sign, doesn't matter," one soldier snapped, shoving him back. "You people always say that." The word stung more than the shove. You people. Marcus had heard it too many times, from job interviews, from officers who looked through him, and from strangers who clutched their bags tighter. But coming from soldiers wearing the same flag he once bled for, it cut deeper. He stumbled, his duffel spilling onto the pavement. A medal slid out, catching the sunlight. For a brief moment, the laughter stopped. One young private bent down, eyes widening. "Sir, that's a silver star." But before anyone could say more, Keene barked, "Clear this man out. Now." They did. Roughly. The crowd of onlookers whispered, phones recording. Marcus didn't fight back. He'd fought enough battles to know which ones weren't his to win. But deep down, a storm was building. The humiliation wasn't just personal, it was a mirror of everything broken in the world he'd served to protect. As he walked away, his chest still ached from the shove, but something else burned brighter, a need for truth. For justice. For someone to remember who he really was. And miles away, when Keene sat down in his office, that same call sign echoed in his head. It wouldn't stop. Not through the meeting, not through the day, not through the night. Because deep down, he knew that voice. And if it was who he thought it was, then the man they'd thrown out wasn't just any homeless stranger. He was the reason Keene was still alive. The next morning, the story hit the local news. Someone had filmed the soldiers shoving a homeless black man outside the base. The clip spread fast, hashtags, outrage, comments piling up. But none of that compared to the silence inside General Keene's office when he finally saw the video. The voice in the recording, the calm, disciplined tone, hit him like a strike to the chest. That call sign. That voice. He couldn't shake it. By afternoon, he ordered a quiet inquiry, trying to confirm what his gut already knew. The files came back half-buried, names smudged, but one stood out, Sergeant Marcus Hayes, presumed KIA, Kandahar. Keene's hands trembled. The man they'd thrown out wasn't a stranger. He was the soldier who dragged Keene from a burning Humvee 15 years ago, saving his life when everyone else thought it was over. He found Marcus sitting by the river, duffel beside him, eyes fixed on the water. When Keene approached, Marcus didn't stand. He didn't salute. He just looked up, tired, wary. "I remember you now," Keene said quietly. "You saved me." Marcus didn't answer right away. His gaze held the weight of years, of promises broken and systems rigged against him. "And you forgot me," he finally whispered. Keene's jaw tightened. Around them, soldiers passed by, their eyes darting between the two men, the clean uniform and the worn jacket, the white general and the black veteran. The image said everything about who America remembers, and who it doesn't. Keene offered to make it right, housing, compensation, a public apology. But Marcus shook his head. "You can't fix what's broken with money, sir. Not when it's been this way for generations." His words hit harder than any bullet. Moments later, a crowd gathered. Reporters had found them, microphones flashing. Questions flew. "Is it true this man saved your life? Did you order his removal yesterday?" Keene froze, every camera on him. The system that had protected him for decades was suddenly a mirror. And behind him, Marcus stood, not begging, not broken, but tall, steady, unashamed. The truth was out now. The whole country would see it, how easily a black hero could be discarded until his story became inconvenient to ignore. Before we continue, if stories like this move you, hit subscribe and stay with us for more powerful real-life stories that matter. As the noise swelled, Marcus turned to leave, whispering just loud enough for the general to hear, his old call sign. Keene's eyes filled with tears. He wanted to speak, to apologize, to thank him, but the words never came. Because for the first time in his life, the man who once commanded thousands was completely, painfully silent. The footage of that moment spread across every screen in the country. Two men, one in a pressed uniform, one in worn-out boots, standing face to face. It became a symbol, a snapshot of two Americas colliding in plain sight. Within days, the military released an official statement. Words like regret, oversight, and commitment to change filled the page. But the apology felt hollow to many who'd lived through the same silence Marcus had endured. Veterans groups rallied in his name. Donations poured in, not out of pity, but out of guilt, a nation trying to make peace with what it had ignored. Marcus accepted none of it. Instead, he used the attention to start something small but real, a support program for homeless veterans of color, funded not by the system that failed them, but by the people who believed in them. He spoke rarely, preferring action over headlines. But when he did, his words carried the quiet power of someone who'd seen the worst and still chose to stand tall. General Keene retired soon after. He never publicly defended himself. In one of his final interviews, he was asked what haunted him most about that day. He paused, eyes downcast, then said softly, "That I needed a camera to remind me of a man's worth." Marcus never looked for revenge. What he wanted, what he'd always wanted, was recognition. Not for himself, but for every soldier, every man and woman whose service was forgotten the moment their skin color made them invisible. Years later, a plaque appeared at the base gate, no ceremony, no speeches. It read, "In honor of Sergeant Marcus Hayes and every unsung hero who served with dignity when the world refused to see them." People still stop to read it. Some take pictures, some wipe their eyes, and others just walk past. But the story stays, quiet, heavy, unforgettable. Because in the end, Marcus's fight wasn't just about respect. It was about truth, the kind that forces a country to look in the mirror and ask, how many more heroes will we lose before we start seeing them while they are still here?